Hey everybody, it's Pierre, and we're back with another 101. Well, yes, because of the anniversary set, even though we don't typically include auxiliary sets in the 101s, these have become such expansive archetypes, things like the AOD archetype of the past, and today the SS4 Prismatic Bardock archetype that is coming in the 2021 anniversary box. They're so expansive, and they really are their own thing, and if anything, I'd be doing them a disservice if I didn't do my 101s. But before we get started, guys, if you want to pick up any of the cards I talk about in today's video, I have to point you guys over to 3 Man Inc., the best place in Canada to get your DBS singled and sealed product guaranteed. And if you want to watch me play this deck, I'm pretty interested in actually messing around with the deck. You guys know I love my multicolored decks. Link to my Twitch is down in the description, and we're doing a giveaway, guys. So link to that will also be in the description. I'll also make sure that the little eye pops up if you guys want to do that. As a thank you for hitting 3K. Well, I'm about to hit 3K. I assume by next week. So hey, as a thank you, we're doing a Q&A and a giveaway. So just go ahead on that video, make sure you subbed, comment on that video, and we'll be good to go. But with that said, let's just jump right into the archetype. Now, it is a rainbow deck. It is a black multicolor deck, which is very exciting. More and more as the game has progressed over time, we've seen Bandai really come to terms with black being its own color, whereas it used to serve as more of a colorless type of color that we've seen in games like MTG. Now it really stands alone as its own color, which is awesome. And specifically, it is energy rewarding. Based on the amount of colors in your energy, you'll be able to do more things. And for first time okay, there might be one other card, but the entire archetype centralizes around a bunch of cards that give you effects for charging, which is absolutely an awesome design space for them to be exploring. But of course, it all kicks off with the leader. So we have Bardock, a 5k leader. However, he does have a couple of permanents that make up for it. First permanent, reduced combo cost by 1 and negate the energy exhaust skill of all black multicolor battle cards with SS4 in their card names and all battle areas. So this is a SS4 archetype as well. So for those of you guys who are fond of the form, there you go. And then permanent for each card color in your battle area and energy area, so both, which is kind of nice. This card gets 2k power, which means once you get up to 3 colors in your energy, he is now an 11k leader. So he starts off small, but very quickly turns into something that's hard for your opponents to deal with, at least on their unawakened side. And eventually, because it taps out at 10k, you can actually rival awakened leaders by being 15k on the front side, which is super sweet. Auto, when this card attacks, look at a top 5 card on top of your deck, add up to 1 black card with SS4 in its name among them to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So specified search, pretty good for archetypes specifically like this one that really do want to see early on their SS4s so that you can set up your energy, you can set up your board and the like. Then finally, we have the Awaken. When your life is at 3 or less, or you have 4 or more card colors in your battle area and energy area, you may draw 2 cards and flip this card over. And that's pretty important. 4 colors is definitely where you want to be for the Awaken side of this leader, because he just gets enough ability. So while yes, you can use your board presence to be able to awaken early, just be aware that if your opponent can deal with your board presence, you do lose out on things that your Awaken leader can do. And so on the Awaken side, we have SS4 Bardock Prismatic Striker. Permanent, reduce the combo cost by 1 and negate the energy exhaust skill of all black multicolor battle cards with SS4 in their name in all areas. And then auto, when this card attacks, resolve the effects below according to the number of non-black colors present among black multicolor cards in your battle area and energy area. So it doesn't count the black, but it does count them only for black multicolor cards. So that's something to keep in mind. You really do need to use the SS4 engine alongside this leader. 2+ colors is this card gets 5k power for the battle. Then you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards and switch it to rest mode. 3+ colors, at the end of your turn, switch up to 1 your black multicolor energy to active mode. And then 4+ colors, you get to draw 1, then choose one of your opponent's unison cards and remove a marker from it. So this leader does a lot, but it does require some setup. You effectively need to make sure that you have all colors excluding black to be able to get all the abilities off. And on the Awaken side, the most important ability, which is to draw, is locked at that 4 color mark. So it's definitely something you want to play around, but there's no harm in staying unawakened, because by turn 2, your leader's in 11k, and then your opponent's just gonna have to put more effort that early on to try and deal with you. So while it can take a while, it does count the board, which is kind of nice, so you can set it up in certain ways like that. You do need to be mindful that this deck doesn't really get full value until you get all 4 colors outside of black in your energy area. But of course, this leader wouldn't be much of anything if it weren't for the cards that we're putting in energy. So to kick us off, we have SS4 Vegeta Prismatic Aegis, 2 cost, specified blue and black, 16k battle card with energy exhaust and critical. If your lead card is a Bardock Xeno card and you have a black multicolor card in your energy other than this card, when this card in your hand is played or placed in your energy, choose to one card in your opponent's hand and place it at the bottom of their deck, and then your opponent draws one card. So this effect only procs when you get your second energy. So the first one you play on turn 1 isn't going to get any effects, but from that point onwards, this one and all the other prismatic aegises will allow you to get effects, which is really cool. It's the first time we've really seen an archetype really get benefits from skills proccing in the energy area. Then additionally, as an auto, when this card is played from your hand, you get to draw 2 cards and choose one card in your hand and place it at the bottom of your deck. Just some cycle, very nice on a 16k crit body, which is going to be a little bit difficult for your opponent to deal with. Moving on to the green Aegis, we have SS4 Sun Gohan Prismatic Aegis, this being a 16k double strike. Same trigger here, where if you have another multicolor, when you charge this, he will get his ability. And for Gohan, you get to choose up to one of your opponent's unison cards with 3 or more markers, remove a marker from it, which is really key actually, because we're really going to go into a format in this format and formats moving forward where markers make a difference. And just by charging a card, you'll be able to remove a marker from a unison, putting them down to 2, which means 1 hit away, you're preventing your opponent from being able to use free counterplays. Honestly, just a really good skill to be able to just proc off anytime you need to make sure that your opponent's reined in. It can take away them being able to use an ultimate next turn without you having to attack into it. This does an incredible amount of work. Then additionally, auto, when this card is played from your hand, you get to choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards when you cost a 4 or less and set it to owner's warp. Once again, removal on a 16k body. This double strike is awesome. So while these will primarily be used for their energy effects, the fact that these are relevant bodies afterwards definitely helps a lot. Onto yellow, we have SS4 Son Goku Prismatic Aegis, this one being a 16k blocker, and the ability when you charge it up is you choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards when you cost a 4 or less, negate skills until the end of your opponent's next turn. Just a nice effect where you can prevent things like blocker, or if there's any battle cards that really have any annoying permanents. You know, it's not as wide ranging as the other two, but it definitely can put in work depending on the type of deck that you're going up against. And then auto, when this card is played from your hand, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, switch it to rest mode and KO it if it's a skillless battle card. So it goes again with the skill negation, so you can negate skills and then you can go ahead and play this to KO it. So while with a black leader there's not a ton of way to negate skills to make them skillless cards, it is still a great flexible card to be able to manage and mitigate your opponent's board with cards you were already playing for their energy effects anyways. And then finally, to wrap it up, the red in SS4 Bardock Prismatic Aegis, this one being a 3 cost, all of them being 2 cost, but here we got a 3 cost 16k unique barrier permanent. If your lead card is a Bardock Xeno card, reduce the energy cost in this card in your hand by 1. So I mean, he's a 2 cost in the deck anyways. And then his energy effect, when this card is in your hand, is played or placed in your energy, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards or unison cards and it gets minus 2k power for the turn for each card color in your energy area. So pretty powerful effect. It does tap out at 10k, but hey, a free neg 10k just for charging energy is incredibly flexible, incredibly strong anytime you really need it. And finally, the additional effect is activate battle once per turn, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and it gets minus 5k power for the turn. Hey, why not? This just, you know, helps you out defensively, forces your opponent to have to combo an additional card, decent board presence again, especially since with the Bardock Xeno leader, it is a 2 cost. Moving on to the unison, because the unison does scale with the amount of colors you have in your energy area. We have SS4 Broly Prismatic Burst. No specified cost, 10k unison permanent for each marker on this card. It gets 5k power during your turn. So offensively, this taps out as a 35k battle card, which is beefy. It's a very big card, but that is only on your turn. And he has no plus abilities, which really hurts. Auto limit 1 if this card has 1 marker. When this card is played, add a marker to it for every 2 multicolor cards in your energy, which means that it also taps out at 3 markers, which is not awesome. So if you played for 1, it gets 3 markers. Otherwise, you're gonna have to actually pay energy to get those markers up, which, you know, isn't great, but hey, is viable either way. Then -1 activate main, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost greater than their current energy and send it to a source warp. Not bad, it's removal. And then auto for -X, when your leader card is attacked, you may have it get plus 5k power for the battle for each marker you removed from this card with this skill. So it's something that your opponent has to deal with before they try to go out and kill you, because otherwise you are going to get a pretty significant boost to your leader. So generally on the kill turns, this can prevent that. It can force them to have to go for it, but you lose a lot of flexibility with this card in my opinion, and it can give you a little bit of a tough time. Instead of being able to play other unisons. But it is an option there if you want to be thematic, as well as being able to have removal in the form of your unison. Moving on to the board, not only do we have black multicolor cards in our energy, but we also have ones that are specifically meant to be played. Here we have SS4 Vegeta Prismatic Burst, 3 cost, 1 specified blue, 1 specified black, 16k body once again. Auto for 1 specified black if your lead card is a black Saiyan card and there's a total of 3 or more energy between you and your opponent. At the end of battle in which this card was used in a combo from your hand, which, reminder, all SS4s are basically free combos in this deck. Play this card from your drop area in a rest mode, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 3 or less and return it to its owner's hand. So tempo, right? We don't like hand removal, but hey, it's a typical blue thing, and it is tempo, which you can't, mark too much, especially since you can do it on your opponent's turn, which is kind of cool. Activate main for one specified black, send this card to its owner's warp, choose up to one black multicolor card with an energy cost of 2 in your hand and play it. At the start of your next turn, add this card to your hand from your warp. So it replaces itself with a 2-drop, which is super cool. It doesn't even have to be that one, which is very nice. It can tap out, it can switch out, and then you can re-get abilities to combo with him and play him again. So you got that recursion kind of going on with these prismatic bursts. On the green end, we have SS4 Sun Gohan, this one being a 2-drop, again 5k combo, 16k body, this one being a counterattack. Negate the attack and play this card. When this card is played, you may choose one card in your hand and discard it. If you do, your opponent can only attack with battle cards and unison cards X more times per turn, where X is equal to the number of colors in their energy. So if they're monocolor, they swing one more time. If they're multicolored, 2, 3, it all depends from there. But either way, this is a great floodgate card to have access to. Then as the permanent, if you activate this card counter skill on this card in your hand and there are 3 or more black multicolor cards in your battle area and or energy area, reduce the activation cost of this card skill by 1 specified black, making it cost 1 green. At that point is an extraordinary amount of value for 1 cost. Moving on to yellow, we have SS4 Sun Goku Prismatic Burst. This once again being a 3 cost, specified yellow, specified black, 16k body, auto for 1 black. It really requires a black Saiyan card, and there's a total of 3 or more energy between you and your opponent. At the end of battle in which this card was used in the combo from your hand, play this card in your drop area in rest mode, then choose one of your opponent's unison cards and negated skills for the turn. This can be pretty good defensively. You can prevent your opponent from trying to kill you with it, or you could turn off on your opponent's turn if you want to not have to deal with like blocker and stuff like that. So pretty neat on that front. Activate main for 1 specified black, send this card to its owner's warp, choose up to 1 black multicolored battle card with an energy cost of 2 in your hand and play it. At the start of your next turn, add this card to your hand from your warp. So again, this swap out ability that we saw on the Vegeta, here being yellow being able to negate skills instead. And finally, we wrap up with SS4 Bardock Prismatic Burst. 2 costs, specified red and black, 16k counter play. Play this card, and if the battle card being played has 20k power or less, place it in its owner's drop area instead. And then permanent, if you have 2 or more black multicolor energy, you may add a card from your life to your hand when activate this card's counter skill from your hand. If you do, reduce the activation cost of this card's counter skill by 1 black. So it sucks that it's not a full cost. Usually by being able to take life, we're able to play it, but that is probably a little bit too strong. So here we're reducing the cost. Still having a 1 cost counterplay is still pretty good, and it definitely can shut down a lot of what your opponent is doing. This all wraps up to this phenomenal finisher in SS4 Gogeta Prismatic Burst. 10 cost, 10k combo, 35k power, quad strike. Auto, when this card is played, resolve the following effects based on the card colors you have in your energy area. Now reminder guys, when autos happen like this, and it's same with the leader skills, you go top down. So it will happen from top to bottom. You don't just get to choose how they go. So with red, you get to deal 1 damage to your opponent. For blue, you get to draw 3 cards. Green, your opponent choose 2 cards in their hand and discards them. Yellow, you get to choose up to 1 of your opponent's cards and switch it to rest mode. And then black, you get to choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards and send them to their owner's warp, which is a huge amount of value. That is so much energy worth of options that you're able to do. And then activate main for 5, you get to choose 1 Son Goku Xeno card and 1 Vegeta Xeno card in your hand and or battle area, and place them in your owner's drop area. Play this card from your hand. And with all the swapping you're able to do, it really won't be that hard to be able to set up your board in a way that you'll be able to do this. 5 is quite a bit, but you're getting so many abilities with this, and then your leader can untap. If you have this many colors, your leader will be able to untap, giving you defensive options once you go into your defensive turn if this isn't enough to deal with your opponent. But you're drawing 3 cards, you're dealing 1 damage. He has quad strike on his own right, so if he gets through, it's fantastic. Your opponent loses 2 cards in your hand, so it's basically a +5 in card advantage. And then it's basically like +7 if you count board presence as card advantage in its own right. So this card does a ton of work. The benefit too is that this deck is running Xeno, Gokus, and Vegetas. So you can just outright run the Gogeta package as well and run thwarting if you want to run a 4-cost variant of a card that also puts in a lot of pressure. But in Archetype, we have Prismatic Burst available to us. And with that said, guys, that is SS4 Prismatic Bardock coming to us from the 2021 anniversary box. I think is a really fun archetype. I really like that the anniversary box tends to mess with multicolor decks. You know, we got Agents of Destruction last time, which was a very fun and easy to build multicolored deck. I think this one's just going to be just as fun and definitely lends itself more flexible. And I really am excited to try and test out this deck. The more I read it, the more I try and theory craft for it, the more and more fun I find myself trying to figure out how to make the deck work. With that said, guys, I'd love to hear how you guys would build SS4 down below. Would you guys go multicolor? I know a lot of people are doing a lot of arrival stuff. So how would you guys go about building? If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Hey, if you dislike it, thumbs down works too. If you want to watch more videos, guys, of course, we're doing discussion videos and all that stuff. History of Dragon Ball, guys. If you guys like that, you know, the Yu-Gi-Oh version of the series C-Mill is made. I'm working on it myself. We just released episode 2 yesterday. Definitely go and check that out. Subscribe button's in the corner if you guys want more. But that's all. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Ciao.